Chicago Bulls Media Day is actually today. It is officially that time when we get to hear from AKME, Billy Donovan, and a bunch of players about the 2023-24 season. And I'm not expecting to hear really too much, but I do think this is an important day, especially for the media, because I want to hear a lot of specific things from specific guys. And I want to, before we get into Media Day, I'm releasing this video before Media Day actually starts, which is, I believe, 11 p.m. Central Time for the Bulls. 11 a.m. Central Time for the Bulls. I want to kind of do like a little bit of a preview of what I want to have asked, what I want to hear from certain people, etc., etc. And before we get into this video, make sure you hit the like button, obviously. But I also would like to do this little exercise with you guys. If you could be at Media Day today, who would you ask one question to, and then what would that question be? Leave it in the comment section down below, because I'd be very interested to hear what you guys would want to ask whoever at Bulls Media Day, assuming that AK, Emmy, Billy Donovan, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic are probably all available at Media Day. But a couple of things I want to talk about heading into Media Day that I think is actually significant to kind of look into and make sure that some of these questions kind of at least get some sort of answer to it. I do know that a lot of the answers we're going to get is on the court, right? It's not going to be something that we just get, immediate, answer at the beginning before even training camp starts. But there are some things that I would like to hear some of the ideas from some of these guys about specific issues with this team. So I have been one of those people that has been harping on this Bulls offense, okay? It's very funny to me when I hear Stacey King talk about how the reason why this Bulls team is struggling is because of their defense, when in fact their defense was ranked 5th last season and the Bulls offense was ranked 24th. All we hear about from some of the so-called analysts is that this Bulls defense sucks. And look, I'm not saying this Bulls defense is amazing, but I'm here to tell you that that was not the main reason why this Bulls team was struggling last season. The main issue is that the Bulls offense was ranked 24th, and they decided to shoot the most mid-range shots in the world and shoot the least amount of threes out of all 30 teams in the NBA. So, how is this offense going to improve? And as Casey Johnson wrote in his article, will the offense improve? AK and ME, they went on 670 The Score. I kind of talked about some things already. I'm going to bring up some quotes a little bit later in this video to kind of, go off of them and kind of make some follow-up questions to what they actually said. But they talked about a little bit how DeMar DeRozan might have to change his game a little bit. They talked about their shot profile, and at least they're aware of the terrible shot profile that they have. And they're aware of their lack of three-point shooting. So at least it seems like they're aware. But the person that, to me, needs to be asked all these questions is not necessarily the front office, but it's Billy Donovan. Because Billy, right now, is, in my opinion, under a lot of scrutiny. And as he should. I'm not saying that Billy Donovan should be on the hot seat as of this moment, but there should be a lot of eyes on Billy Donovan this upcoming season. I've been very critical of Billy Donovan about the offense. I've been giving Billy Donovan praise about the Bulls defense, which, again, I've said it. The Bulls defense was very good last season, and he deserves a lot of credit for that Bulls good defense. But the offense, to me, being ranked 24th, even with this team that has its flaws, to me is just straight up inexcusable. I'm not expecting this Bulls offense to be ranked in the top 10, but it cannot be ranked in the bottom third of the league like it was last season, this upcoming season. So, for Billy Donovan, I want to know, what is the game plan? And the main question for me, if I had to ask one question to be to Billy, is what is your main game plan to maximize the offensive end between LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic? I want to just kind of hear his overall idea of how to maximize these three players, because in the end, I think a lot of Bulls fans know that the three player lineup of LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic, I think it actually somehow finished in the positives last season in terms of net rating, but it was like barely positive. That just can't happen. Okay, so Billy Donovan, how are you going to maximize these three players this upcoming season and be better than the 24th ranked offense? Sure, Javon Carter, Torrey Craig might help, especially with their three-point shooting, but in the end, the offense runs through these three guys. How are you, as a coach, going to maximize these three guys to make sure the offense is going to be better than what we saw last season? So, that's my main thing. Now, other thing I want to kind of look into it, and maybe I kind of hope that someone's going to ask about this. If you ask Will Purdue, the Bulls aren't posting up Vucevic enough. If you ask Stacey King, the Bulls aren't posting up Vucevic enough. But in actuality, when you look at the numbers, the Bulls are posting up actually a significant amount. And you hear a lot of the time, well, the Bulls are isolating too much. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's just not the case, unfortunately. What I do think is that the Bulls play way too slow. So what I would hope that at least some sort of media member is kind of aware of is that let's look at the post-up numbers for the Bulls this past season. So in terms of possessions per game, post-up possessions per game, the Bulls were ranked right here at number 5. They had overall as a team 6 possessions in the post per game. As the Denver Nuggets were the league leaders, as they have Nikola Jokic, who is obviously the best post-up player in the game right now. In terms of just overall possessions, Nikola Vucevic actually ranked 4th in terms of total possessions, which I'm not going to go use that as like, a full out way to measure things. But in terms of possessions per game, we're looking at Nikola Vucevic actually having a pretty good, decent amount. I mean, we're talking the same amount as Giannis, same amount as Porzingis, right? More than Kevin Durant, more than Domantas Sabonis, who people have stated that we need to use Nikola Vucevic the same way as Domantas Sabonis and post him up more, when in actuality Domantas Sabonis posts up less than Vucevic. So I don't really know what people are getting on about with that. But less than Julius Randle, more than Julius Randle, more than Karl-Anthony Towns. Like it just kind of shows you like, hey, the Bulls actually post up Vucevic a lot more than what people actually say, compared to then what people say the Bulls do a ton of, right? Or what people at least claim the Bulls do a ton of, which is, hey, the Bulls isolate too much, when they're actually down here. I mean, I believe this is like bottom third-ish in the league, right? As you can see, a lot more teams isolate more, and you want to tell me that, well, DeRozan and Zach, they isolate way too much, when DeRozan basically isolates the same amount of times as Vooch posts up per game, and Zach actually isolates even less than that. And the funny thing to me is that when you look at the points per possession, and Nikola Vucevic had, by the way, a career best in the post this season at 1.05 points per possession per game, points per possession in the post. Both DeRozan and LaVine in the isolations average more points per possession. So in actuality, the Bulls should be isolating those two guys more than posting up Nikola Vucevic. So while this is something that I know is a very specific question, I want someone to at least kind of point out, like, what is or I kind of asked Billy Donovan and maybe even some of the players, what's the balance, right? Are we going to be looking to post up Vucevic more this upcoming season? Because then I can prepare myself to be more dreadful and more upset. Or are we going to be looking to play faster, play less 90s basketball, shoot less mid-range shots, shoot less post-ups, and actually look to get guys moving without the basketball more, and getting Nikola Vucevic, instead of on the block 12 feet away from the basket, get him in the lane, get him 5 feet away from the basket, and have him actually shoot more threes instead of shooting those little post-hook fadeaways from 12 feet out, right? This is something that I kind of just, along those lines, I want those questions to be asked to Billy Donovan and to some of the players on media day, because this is something that I think that the Bulls have leaned too heavily into the 90s type basketball, right? And how are we actually going to see them get away from that this upcoming season? Or are we going to see more of what people keep saying is the right way to play, as Will Perdue kind of says it? And which, by the way, no disrespect to Will Perdue, I think he is very smart, but the stats don't lie. And, people kind of just spew out some statements without really looking at the stats. And unfortunately, a lot of Bulls fans are also like that. If you are new to this channel, I have been an advocate of saying that I don't think posting up your center, unless they're a Hall of Fame level type center, aka Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, is really worth it. I think posting up your perimeter player, whether it's a Kevin Durant, a Kawhi Leonard, etc., is actually more effective than posting up your center, because if you post your center up, then it clogs up the lane, and the rim protector is basically right at the basket, right? So in the end, it's just wondering about this balance. Are we getting away from the 90s, or are we actually going to be sticking with the 90s, which is what we saw a lot of last season? So, as I said, AK and Mark Eversley, they won on 670 the score, and they put up some quotes here that was kind of recorded by CHGO, and also I listened to the entire segment of when they were on the show. And Carter Show has put out this theory. So we got to take more threes. You've got to play faster. We have to move the ball. Then the relationship piece. So those are 4 things we're going to concentrate on this year. And the thing is that when I look at these 4 things, right, you can argue that AK has a good amount of input on this, but yet again, the second person is on Billy Donovan. So what I would actually ask AK here is, what do you expect from Billy Donovan to help improve these 4 categories that you listed on 670 The Score this past week. You say that you want to shoot more threes, you want to play faster, you want to move the ball more, and you want a better relationship. You want the players to have a better relationship. Okay, what can Billy Donovan do to actually improve all 4 of these categories? Right, AK has, you know, his responsibility. Like, right, like there's a lot on him as well, because he needs to get the better players for this sort of play style, and then also for the relationship part, right? But it's also then on the coach, who, aka Mark Eversley, put a lot of faith in, and publicly put a lot of faith in, to make sure that these 4 things that they have listed actually come to fruition. So this, to me, is actually a good question for AK to get asked, and hopefully we see it on media day. Mark Eversley on DeMar DeRozan. Ultimately, it's about winning. Whether DeMar has to adjust his game a tiny bit or a lot, at the end of the day, we all want to win. I think if we win, he'll be happy. His teammates will be happy. Fans will be happy. We'll be happy. And, you know, that's a nice quote by Mark Eversley. But here's the thing. I want, and maybe it's not going to be Mark Eversley that's going to be there, but we all know that AK is going to be there, right? I want someone to ask them about DeMar DeRozan's contract, because DeMar DeRozan is heading to the last year of his deal of this upcoming season. He's getting paid about $29 million. So DeMar DeRozan, they kind of say that they're kind of hinting at him as being like a player that they have to maybe shift around in terms of how they play with, right? DeMar takes a little too many mid-range shots, or, you know, maybe plays a little bit too much 90s basketball and kind of doesn't really fit into these first 2 things, right? Or maybe even the first 3 things that AK has kind of said here in this quote, right? So are you going to be asking DeMar to actually change his game in a contract year? And if so, what are your thoughts on DeMar DeRozan's contract extension that is looming here? And do you guys expect to get a contract extension done with him during the season? If not, what are the plans with him? Just full out ask. Just full out ask him, because if we ask DeMar, we're not going to get an answer. And honestly, I don't really expect an answer from the front office either. But maybe we actually kind of get a little bit of a hint, because these are the only guys that kind of really know what's going to happen if DeMar DeRozan is going to get an extension or not. If you want to know my opinion, I don't want DeMar DeRozan to get an extension. And if he does, I would hope it's on the cheaper end and it's on a 1 to 2 year deal. But other than that, I would rather, honestly, I would personally like to trade him to see if this Bulls team can get some assets for him before he hits unrestricted free agency and the Bulls potentially lose him for nothing. Because that's my biggest fear of all this, is if we just lose DeMar DeRozan for basically nothing when we had multiple chances to trade him. So those are kind of some things that I laid out in this Bulls Media Day preview of what I want to see asked, or at least brought up in some sort of fashion on Bulls Media Day. Again, leave down in the comment section below. If you could ask one question to one person, who would that person be, and what would that question be at Bulls Media Day? Bulls Media Day is going to be from my understanding, is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time, and I am going to be doing a post Media Day stream between 1 to 1:30, kind of whenever Media Day ends. We all kind of know Media Day kind of might go a little bit longer, so kind of whenever Bulls Media Day ends. Come back here to TheSlamDuncan, and I will be doing a kind of just reactions to some of the stuff that was said, and also kind of some reactions to what's been going on around the league, because there has been some crazy movement in the last couple of days before training camp all starts for all these teams. But that's all I have for you guys in this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Again, stream right after Bulls Media Day today. Sorry, I may have said tomorrow. Today, which again I think is going to end around 1 p.m. So be here after Bulls Media Day is over. I'll see y'all in the next one.